Hey, I want to explore the difference between absolute truth and relative truth because this is going to have a bearing over other videos that I want to do in the future. So I'll be able to refer people back to this one and keep the videos all short and easy to download. So when we say absolute truth, what we mean is that there is one ultimate truth about how the universe was created, about the nature of reality, about how political systems work, about anything from the very mundane and grounded level to the very high spiritual and philosophical levels. The idea of absolute truth is there's just one solid truth. And you can think of it as like stone, like a rock. It doesn't move. Rocks don't melt super easily. It takes a lot for something to change a rock. So our example, this is my rock. Our example for absolute truth is a rock. Now, then there's another form of truth called relative truth. And the relative truth is more fluid. It can change. It's more dynamic. So I hold something to be true for now, and then relative to some new data, some new experience or observation, I can allow that idea of the truth to change. I hold this truth gently, and then I bump into you and your truth, and we compare our truths, and relative to my experience of your truth, I might let my truth shift and morph. So that's more of like a fluid kind of a dynamic. Okay, absolute truth and relative truth. So the internet is bombarding you constantly with messages. People want to influence you to believe something, to do something, to think something, to say something. They're trying to influence you to behave in new ways, and they've got motives, whoever they are. They want your money, they want your time, they want your attention. Some of them are good motives. They want you to be happier and healthier. They want you to eat better. They want you to exercise. They want you to feel good. They found some great new truth, and they want you to have that truth so that you can be a better person. Or they want your money. Most of the time it's about the money, but there are some people who are doing good things in the world and not thinking about the money. So, absolute truth versus relative truth in the concept of first teaching or communicating on the internet. If you're holding on to your truth, as this is my eraser, but right now it's the rock of absolute truth. And if I'm teaching or influencing or communicating on the internet and I'm coming from a place of absolute truth, then I owe it to the people that I'm trying to influence to convince them of how solid this truth is. So absolute truth comes with more burden of proof. And if I'm trying to influence people who hold absolute truth, so you're now the audience member, and you're in the camp of truth can be absolute, you're going to need to really be strongly persuaded in order to go along with whatever this message is trying to influence you into. So, absolute truth requires more data. Okay? It requires a lot more data. Relative truth. Okay, so if I'm a relative truth kind of a person and I'm communicating to you on the internet, I may not actually put a lot of data behind it. In fact, because it's all relative, I know that I'm open to a new truth. If I hear a compelling case or see something new, experiencing something new, my truth changes. I'm in this camp, if you haven't guessed, and it could change several times a day. If I'm having, let's say I'm at a conference and I'm learning a lot, networking with a lot of people, and as I'm learning, my idea of what's true is changing and growing and morphing. It's not fixed, it's fluid. So if I'm the person who's trying to communicate, teach, or influence, and I'm from a place of relative truth, I'll tend to not offer as much data. So I put more data there, less data here. And why is that? It's because we, in the relative truth, feel things out. We take in a piece. I'll say, here's this thing, and I'm experiencing it, and I'm going to use my senses to perceive what this thing is. And if this thing has the ability to change what I think is true right now, then I'll go ahead and change my idea of the truth because of this. So my real experience, my feelings, my sensations, my intuitions, everything is a very direct experience. That doesn't have to have as much data and proof as an absolute truth. So if I'm teaching from a place of relative truth, and my audience happens to be the kind of a relative truth audience, then we're going to vibe and we're going to click, and they're going to take what I say, filter it through their set of filters, and decide whether it fits for them or not. Hey, you know what? I just heard about this. I looked at it, I tasted it, I thought it over. It doesn't work for me. I'm not going to change my truth. Or, hey, here's this other thing. I checked it out, I looked at it, I saw what it was. It makes sense to me. I am going to change my truth. Okay, so where there's an interesting tension is when these two people try to talk to each other. The relative truth person is flexible in a way that they might shift their entire paradigm and cosmology and religious belief system, or their diet, or their career. Lots of stuff at stake here. We could change all sorts of stuff if we hear something, experience something from the absolute truth perspective. We could hold it and go, yeah, you know what, that really works for me. I'm gonna hold that for a while. I'm gonna keep that in my toolbox and live with it. Wow, these scissors are really useful. I'm going to keep them for a while. I'm going to use them, I'm going to hold on to them until something comes along to replace it. But the person who gave me these scissors is from absolute truth camp. And that person is going, there will never be anything better than scissors for that job of cutting paper. There will never be anything better. And I might go, well, you know, I heard about this thing called a Cricut, and it cuts through paper and fabric into little shapes, and it hooks into my computer. But no, you might get really angry with me because your absolute, unflexible, rock-solid truth is that scissors are the only way to go forever and always, permanent, throughout time, like a rock. Okay, so you can see my bias here. Obviously, I want more people to be flexible and have a relative truth. So I named it, I own it, that's where I'm at. You don't have to agree with me. If you believe there's one absolute truth, go for it. Be happy. If it's working for you, great. So the absolute truth people can influence the relative truth people, but not permanently. I'm just going to take this until I can afford a Cricut. Oh, but you know what? Sometimes I'm still going to need this because I'm not going to dig out the Cricut just for a real quick, you know, like I'm going to wrap a Christmas present with the Cricut paper cutter. No, I don't need to do that. So I'm, as a relative truth person, going to be able to hold on to several kinds of truth and use whichever one is useful at the time. But if I'm a relative truth person and I'm trying to influence someone who's in the place of absolute truth, that's where it gets tricky. Because someone who needs absolute truth, I think it's like a personality trait. It might even be hardwired into the brain. There might be some study that says that people who have a certain kind of a brain chemistry or electricity or who knows what, some brain thing that justifies why some people have to be so absolute in their approach to things. These absolute truth people do not want to hear your version of the truth, especially because you're not necessarily going to offer a lot of data to prove to them why your way is true. And most importantly, I don't want anything to do with your relative truth because it's fluid, it changes, it's squishy. I need the truth to be true all the time. I can't handle the stress of the truth changing every day. In fact, I don't even like you because every time I talk to you, there's some new truth. I can't deal with that. It's weird, it's squishy, okay? So the relative truth holder is got a pretty low potential at influencing change in the absolute truth holder. I hope that's making sense. There's actually a whole nother thing that I want to talk about, but I'm getting to about 12 minutes and that's kind of long, so I'm going to break here and make a part 2. So I will be seeing you soon with that. Thanks. Bye.